Hello, and welcome to the Unstoppable You Life After Divorce. We're going to speak into how to let go, reinvent yourself, and create the confidence to say hello to the new you. I'm Amy Shade. I'm your host. And today I'm here with Raeeka Yaghmai. She is an award-winning dating blogger, host of the DWC TV and Dating with Confidence podcast. She's known for her unique lasting love method for successful professional women around the world who want to find love, love with their ideal men, I should say, even if they think they're finding the right man is difficult. If it's, as we know, as single women, sometimes it's difficult to find that right man. So welcome, Raeeka. So happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and serving your lovely audience.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about you before we go through. Tell me a little bit about you and how you support women and what you might see out in the world today. And just let us get a sneak peek into
My world.
your world.
Well, I am a professional opera singer turned coach, relationship coach, and I got very interested in this area because of my own personal experience of being broken up with, cheated on about 11 times over the course of 12 years. And last one was with my fiance, who left with a text message, very Sex and the City style. So at least I broke up in style. And I, it took 11 times for me to realize, like, what are you doing? What is going on? And I finally understood that, I am the common denominator between all these wrong matches. And it started this journey of really digging deep and figuring out what is it that I'm doing, instead of pointing a finger at, like, oh, dating sucks. I live in San Francisco, so, like, San Francisco is very difficult to find love, and the opera world is very difficult to find love, and all men are cheaters, and, like, all this stuff that I had built in my mind that was kind of like my dating, Bible that I was reading off of and behaving based on. It really kind of shook me, and I started really questioning and getting really picky about what I'm telling myself and why do I say this stuff. And it took a lot of that's when the healing started, and I started getting into understanding trauma and behaviors that we do without knowing, based on the inner child that's within all of us, that has been stuck in a certain pattern since I was a kid. And that, understanding that wasn't serving me anymore, and learning how to resurrect the inner parent, so that I don't have to let the inner child just run, the show. And all of that was what got me really interested. And it was really about me learning how to do this. And curiosity after curiosity, I kind of started, getting interested in becoming a coach. I got my coaching certificate from IPEC School of Coaching, and became an ICF certified coach, and the rest is history. I have many women who work in my program with us right now, and we've had clients who've come from all walks of life: divorced, single mom with kids who have, they have emotional stuff going on for them. So not only the single mom has to take care of herself, but also the kids, and navigating finding love and all that kind of stuff. So I just love doing what I do. I really believe that as women, we are the nurturers of the society.
Mhm.
Not necessarily just because we could be mothers. I'm not a mom, but I really believe by nature we have that nurturing quality. And if we can empower women to make decisions out of love rather than out of reaction, so out of response, out of versus out of reaction, and teach our kids, by modeling that and empowering ourselves in that way, because healing means empowerment. And when we do that, we really can make the world a better place. So that's the grand, idea.
That's the idea. So can you tell us a little bit about, what was your inner child saying? What were some of the things that you were saying as to why things were going bad? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that voice, because sometimes we don't know who's talking. Like that might be our inner child talking and not us as the adult.
Absolutely. So I grew up in Iran, and so I experienced 8 years of war as a young adult. As a kid, I was 8 when that happened, and I was 15 when it ended. So my childhood was wrapped up in that context. And on top of it, about 2 years before that, or a year before that, 2 years, I was 5 when the revolution took place. So anybody who's gone through a revolution, or if you've read in the books about it, it is a very unsettling time. So if we look at what happened in the pandemic and how we were all unsettled, that was daily life. That kind of uncertainty for about as long as I lived there, pretty much. And so I grew up with, even though I grew up with unbelievably supportive, loving parents, but I developed this mistrust about my environment, because at a very young age, I was faced with the idea of death and what life can be. It is the, when we would see the planes coming, or the missiles sent, like literally going on top of my house, you don't know if what's going to happen. So that kind of uncertainty was very unsettling. So for me, what I did was I would compartmentalize a lot. And part of that compartmentalization, which was really gaining control around my environment, my life, was to always rely on me, and always kind of like just keep everything close to here. And so any outside person, when it especially became a man, and was just automatically somebody I didn't trust. And I don't know to this day why particularly I had that issue with men, but I think when I think about it, and based on the work that I've done, it's because, and this is something I wanted to cover today, is that our love life is the most is the most vulnerable part of our life. So there is no love life available to us if we don't know how to create intimacy. And the prerequisite for creating intimacy is vulnerability. And the prerequisite to be able to be vulnerable is to have self-confidence, self-trust. And because I grew up in a very chaotic world, I didn't want to be vulnerable. And I think that's why with men who would come into my life, that was like my entire existence would then be out of control. And I think that's where things started for me. And I've been dealing with trust issues, ever since I remember, and that's where the healing has happened.
Yeah, and I think thank you for that share, vulnerable share. And I think that a lot of women can relate to that because they're coming out of volatile marriages, relationships, and or their childhood was not a safe environment either. Because so what you're speaking to is so important, about having that self trust and building that first.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I think, like, how do we start building that trust with ourselves? Maybe we want to do a quick thing, because like for me, when I lost my fiance quickly, I lost trust in the world, like, and I had to rebuild that trust. And that, I
Yeah.
know what you're speaking on and how that looks like. But what would you say to our audience who are like, who want to start building that trust themselves first? Can you speak a little bit, like how that might, what that might look like?
Yeah. So absolutely. So, when a divorce or breakup happens, and as I shared, I've been through 11 of them, where the men either cheated on me or left. And like literally a week later, I would find out he's in a relationship. So I can't say that I know for a fact that he cheated, but it seemed like they knew each other for a while to be in a, full on relationship within a week or 10 days. Um, I really, every time I would go through that cycle, there was like a stamp that would even approve of my mistrust, and that lack of trust was my way of protecting myself. And this is what I really want to give as a message to anyone who is relating to this, resonating with this, is that we often feel after a breakup or divorce that we don't trust men. And I don't trust men. I don't trust them. They're going to do something to me. But really, what we are saying is, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself to make decisions that are good for me. I don't trust myself to be empowered enough to tell a man he's not a match without my ego being bruised, without my emotions falling apart. I don't trust, um, going out there and knowing that I can set boundaries, that I have permission to ask for my needs, that dating is a process, that I don't have to bend into a pretzel and or turn into a pretzel and bend backwards, sorry, to please someone to love me, that I am good, that I don't have to downplay my intelligence and my degrees and my kick-ass job, or I don't have to upplay, if that's a word in English, sorry, English is my second language, to one up the man and show him how intelligent I am and compete with him. That I can really trust and relax and sit back and observe how he's showing up, and know that I am the CEO of my love life, that I am the chief experience officer, that I get to choose my experiences, that no one can dictate that to me. When we come from that place, and that place doesn't happen overnight, it also doesn't have to take a lifetime to get there, right? You're all smart women. You're smart enough to be on this, enrolled in this series and to educate yourself. So if you're already going after your love education, you're miles ahead of many, many, many others who are out there. So this doesn't have to be like a 10-year process of figuring it out. This is about understanding that if I want to trust, I got to start by acting out of trust, being out of trust, showing up out of trust with the world around me, rather than reacting to the hurt of the past. And that's where healing of that whatever trauma is there, whether it's from the childhood, whether it's from your relationship, whether it's from the past relationships, if it's like me, that trauma needs to be healed. And just to make it clear for everybody, we all have trauma. The best of us have trauma. By birth, we have trauma because the process of birth is traumatic. So nobody is immune to trauma. And trauma is not something that we want to help it disappear. We want to learn and understand it, and then learn how to integrate that, with tools and skills around that pain, emotional pain, to understand, okay, like up until now, I've had my so-called boxing gloves up, and I'm fighting with men and I'm protecting myself and I'm dodging so that I don't get hurt. Okay, that's a form of, that's my trauma behavior. I don't have to do that if I know that, yeah, I am scared and I am feeling really vulnerable. And this is exciting and scary all at the same time. If, let's say, I like a guy that I'm dating, but I'll be fine. I'll be okay. And that boxing glove method, that's not serving me anymore. So let's use this other method that's going to work.
So what do you, I'm sorry.
I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because I think, we were socialized, women of our generation too, to fight, like, to be angry, the fighter, the one, and
you gotta fight for what you want.
yeah, and doesn't serve us as women at all. But what else doesn't serve us? I know, like, what other mistakes do you see smart women make, right after a breakup?
Yeah, so this is a really good question. There are 4 things that is really, really important. So I hope you're getting your pen and paper and you can write this down, ladies, because these are, when I tell it to you, you're going to be like, well, yeah, duh, that makes sense. But you'd be surprised how many of you are actually doing it and not aware of it. So number 1 is rushing into dating to get over your breakup, right? So that's trauma behavior, right? That's kind of like, I want to numb my pain. So I don't have him anymore. I feel lonely. So let's go date so that I can fill in that void. Number 2 is rushing into dating to fill the void of your ex, which is kind of, so first one is like rushing into it. And then to get over it, to numb myself, to not feel it, to not need to, like, I don't have to, feel the pain anymore, right? And then number 2 is I'm going to fill in the void by bringing in another man, right, to fill in the gap. And then number 3 is rushing into it because our confidence has been bruised. So I want to make sure that I feel like I still got it. So again, that's another reaction rather than, okay, let's process, let's see what's going on. And then the last one is, and this I see happen so much, this is another big reaction, and that is rushing into dating to show your ex that you don't need him. That is so detrimental to your love life's health and to your love health, actually. Yeah. Because all of this, all these mistakes that are happening are basically happening because you basically screaming like, I don't know what to do with this pain, so I'm going to numb it. And numbing it is the worst thing that you can do. You want
So you told us the 4 mistakes. I love those because who hasn't, like, what's that saying? The best way to get over someone to get under someone else or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
We do not want to do that. But what do we want to do? What do we want to do once we go through this divorce, and what do we want to actually do? What can you give us, like, 3 things that would help us?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Number 1 is, it is so okay that you feel broken, and like your heart, not you're not broken, but you feel heartbroken, you feel rejected, you feel angry, which is really the facade over deep sadness and fear. It's okay if you feel afraid. It's okay that you feel overwhelmed. It's okay. None of those feelings are going to kill you. They're just feelings. So it's really understanding that, we live in a society that is constantly wanting us to feel happy and good. And, you watch these infomercials that are all talking about all the medication that you can take to feel good. And by the way, I do take medication for anxiety and depression. So I'm not against medication, but I'm against numbing, the act of numbing without unconsciously doing it rather than deciding, taking time, right? So it's really getting to feel and knowing that those feelings, normalizing it, and then feeling them, sit with them, process them. Because that which you are so afraid of, being alone, what am I going to do with my life? I will be lonely for the rest of my life. How am I going to make money? How am I going to run my life? I don't have that help anymore. What my family's gonna, what would my family say? What would my friends say? All those different chatters that are coming in. I'm not worth it. Men do this to me. I mean, I can go on and on and on, right?
Right.
Whatever your fear voice is telling you, the best way is to actually honor it, because that voice is trying to tell you something. And if you can't honor that fear voice, if you can't sit with it, if you can't put your hand on your heart and say, like, you know what, Raeeka, I hear you. Yeah, this is hard. Gosh, you gave your heart and soul to this man. Gosh, that feels so bad. It's okay. And really sitting with it like you would with your daughter, with your son, with a loved one, with a friend, the way you would talk to them, and you would be present for them. That's what you need. And then definitely get help for healing. Because if you don't heal the patterns, if you don't heal the, I always say, and this is not something I say, I've heard it somewhere, what got you here is not going to get you there.
Right.
So your life right now in this moment is like a fingerprint of all the decisions you've made that has brought you to this point, that have brought you, I don't know, whatever, that's brought you to this point, right? They're not mistakes, they're experiences. You can't possibly make a mistake because you're growing and you're learning. So what do you need to do differently? And often I see women want to do this on their own. They want to approach it with their academic education. And unfortunately, your academic education does not cover this part of your life. And that's why there are people like us out there giving love education. And you've got to find the right mentor for you to help you have skills to not only integrate with this pain and understand how to deal with it in a healthy way, but also to shed light on some of the patterns you have that has brought you to this point, because those are gold that's gold information. That's good information.
Yeah.
In fact, your breakup or divorce is not such a bad thing, because if you really take advantage of it, you can really rock your next relationship.
Yeah, what I'm hearing most from you is that no judgment. Like you have to, we have to get over this self-judgment in how we feel, what we believe, what we want. It's like you're speaking so deeply into that, because when we are in that judgment, we are stuck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just doing a session on limiting beliefs with my clients, and it's interesting. My question to you is, to you ladies who are listening, is always, where did that idea come from? Who said divorce is bad? Who says a breakup is bad? Who says separation is bad? Who says wedding is good? Who says marriage is good? I mean, think about it. Someone somewhere decides those things, and then you take it on, and then you make it your, your like the North Star. And it's not. You are absolute, beliefs are only as strong as your amount of belief in them. Otherwise, they're just like thought. I mean, they're like bubbles. You can just go like that and have another bubble and have another thought. I mean, you can have a bajillion different thoughts and beliefs. So
Yeah. So
question that.
yes. So I want to ask. I know we're flying ahead here, but so how do you start? How to how do you teach them to start to trust the dating process? Like once
Ooh.
they're like, because it's pretty different out there from, if you've been married 20 years and you're coming out as a single woman, divorced in, 2021, 2022, the landscape has totally changed.
Yeah, we have the process that we walk our clients through is, we have we approach this from 360 degrees. So, I always say your love life affects everything in your life, and your everything in your life affects your love life. And it's the only part of your life that works in this way, because your love life, again, requires intimacy. Intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is directly connected to your relationship with yourself. So, what we do is we definitely have the healing, that we call it trauma-informed love education. So we have the healing component. Then we have the dating and relationship skills. Nobody has taught us that. Find one school in like one academic system in the world that teaches you how to find your man or your life partner. There is none. So, and what we learn in our academic system not only doesn't work for our love life, but also harms our love life. So it's very important that we understand where is it appropriate to use that education, and where is it important to use this education and these skills. So that, and then the third component is that we also have like a dating practice circle with men, where we have these important conversations, between men and women, so that the healing can happen, and this process of hurt can be replaced by creating new experiences, and if you find love with any of those men, then great. If not, it's really a place to be, in a safe place with like-minded men, because there's so many good people out there, and you should never let your ex or your divorce or your breakup dictate your possibilities of this wonderful partnership, love partnership, romantic, sexy partnership that you can have in your life.
Yes, I that communication with men sounds very intriguing, because it will, I believe it will demystify many things, and it would also support us as women to have this, grow to the understanding that we are humans, like we're human to human. And once we can like really connect on that level.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we can understand that men are just as insecure as we are,
Right.
just as scared as we are, just as confused as we are, women are navigating this new hashtag Me Too, hashtag Boss Lady, hashtag Women Empowerment era, which is wonderful. Men are also experiencing that. So they don't know, do I get the door for her or don't I get the door? Do I pay for her or don't I pay for her? Like, do I pay her a compliment or do I not pay her a compliment? Like, what is the right thing to do? So it's confusing for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
So learning how to be compassionate yet firm, yet knowing who you are and being able to say no goes a long way.
Yes. And I think the men appreciate it too, when you're like really clear with them, and
I love it.
they love it because they don't have to try to figure you out.
No, and they're not mind readers. And a lot of time we treat them like they're mind readers. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like you and me, the same brain, maybe a little different with hormone. I mean, not little, but they're different with hormones, but we're all humans.
Yes.
They're not monsters. They're humans.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I love that reminder because I think we like my audience always loves that reminder that, men, they don't know exactly what to do either. So the more we can, be clear, then it's easier for them to ask us out or to date us.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. They have it, many of them, I can't say all, but many of them want to show up for you. They just don't know how to do that because they don't know what you want. And so they're dealing with all these things that they Google and read online. So, we can think like, oh, all men are, all men want is sex. Well, guess what? Men are thinking all women want is my money. It's the same thing. We're all scared of each other. And it's time to, when we see them as human, and when we see dating as an opportunity to get to know someone, if it goes somewhere, great. Dating is not the end result. Online dating is not the end result. It's just a place to meet people. That's it. It's just that's what it is. And the rest of it is really on us, on how we handle the process of dating.
So true. And with those words, we're going to talk about, I know you have a free gift for our audience. Do you want to speak into that and tell us all about that?
Sure. So back to my story of dating all these men who cheated on me, I realized, well, I got to start reading men a little bit better because I wasn't. And I kind of was like in my own la la land, thinking that things aren't going to happen. So I got very curious about hearing and getting some key, characteristics on how, like when a person is showing up in a certain way, what is that? So I created, this free training, which comes both in audio and a PDF version, because I know your ladies are busy and they're sometimes on the go and they have kids and they only have the car to do something like listen to something. So you can get it in audio version as well. And it's called the Broken Picker Solution. And in there, you're going to get access to learning about 4 types of men that are out there in the dating world, not everywhere, but like in the dating arena. And 3 of those 4 men are not relationship ready. And you want to be aware of what their characteristics are. What does a player look like? What is the quality casual guy, the non-committal guy like? What is the needy guy, the user guy? What do they do? So, and what is the characteristic of a relationship ready man? And then you're going to learn the 3 things that you need to do so that you can evaluate these things and when you go on a date, and get to know a man in that way.
Well, I'm excited for that. I'm a dater, so I'm ready to download that too.
Good.
That's part of the benefits of meeting women like you is getting your resources.
Absolutely. I will be honored.
All right. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us and so much great information here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's been a privilege to serve your